Alright, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. So this is the third video on inequalities, and so we want to continue. So make sure if you haven't watched the first video, the second video, and this third video, so make sure you pause, watch the first video and the second video, and then you come back. And remember, just pause the video right now. Make sure you click the subscription button below so that you can enjoy more videos like this one. Now let's get started. So in the first video, we learned how to plot and also how to shade inequalities. In the second video, we learned how to identify inequalities when they've been shaded for you, okay? And we did some examples there, if you remember. And so in this one, we want to answer this exam question, okay? How the questions may be phrased on inequalities. All right, so let's see how we can do so. The question reads, all right, so focus on this question, starting from here. And this question, remember, you need to answer this question using the graph paper, okay? You need to use a graph paper so that you can follow the scale nicely. So the question reads, that Makwebo prepares two types of sausages. We have Hungarian and beef. So he does this daily for sale. I mean, she does this daily. Now she prepares sausages. She prepares at least 40 Hungarian and at least 10 beef sausages. Now she prepares not more than 160 sausages altogether. Now the number of beef sausage prepared are not more than the number of Hungarian sausages. So we'll need to formulate inequalities from this statement. Now after that, we are going to answer the questions that follows, okay? So our main focus is first to be able to identify inequalities and then plot them on the X or Y plane, and then we will answer the other questions that follow. Now before we actually question A, look at question A. Reads, given that X represents the number of Hungarian sausages and Y the number of beef sausages, write 4 inequalities which represent these conditions. Okay, so we need to find 4 inequalities representing these conditions. Now before that, so I would urge you to pause the video, look for a graph paper, and then make sure you follow these scales, okay? So in the x-axis, you are going to use 2 centimeters, right, to represent 20 sausages. So on both axes, so you will need to have in the x-axis from 0 to 160, and then in the y-axis you are also going to have from 0 to 160. Okay, so where 2 centimeters will represent 20 sausages, okay, whichever of the type. Now after that, so I'll urge you to use a graph paper. Of course, here I'm going to show you how to do that, but I'm not going to use specific scales, right, because I'm not going to use a graph paper. But if you're doing it physically, please use a graph paper and follow these measurements. So I just want you to get the concept, and you know, mathematics is all about getting the concept, and then when you have the concept, you can apply it to solve any question in this form or any question similar. You can expand on that knowledge you are going to get from this video, right? And then question B says we will need to calculate the profit on the sale of each Hungarian sausage. If the profit on each Hungarian sausage is 3 kwacha and on each beef sausage is 2 kwacha, now we are going to find how many of each type of sausage are required to be prepared to make maximum profit. So we are going to see how we are going to answer this question. It's very interesting, something that you can use when you are doing any business. Okay, you can use this concept and it can help you do better in your business. All right, and that's why mathematics is good. And finally, question D, we are going to calculate the maximum profit, all right, that we can get. Okay, so let's start by writing inequalities. Okay, let's just write them here, then we are going to transfer them. All right, so let's look at this question here. Okay, just a moment. I just want to move a bit and see if we can okay, we can squeeze it. Okay, we'll be moving after we read the question. Now look at this. We have Makwebo prepares 2 types of sausages, Hungarian and beef, daily for sale. Okay, so she does that daily for sale. Now she prepares at least 40 Hungarian. Now what does this statement mean? Take note of that and make form an inequality representing this statement. So let me just change the color. So we want the inequality to describe this first statement, that's she prepares at least 40 Hungarian. Okay, now what does that mean? Now remember, in question A we are told X will represent the number of Hungarian sausages, right? So since she prepares at least 40 Hungarian sausages, that means X, right? X is going to be so that means X is going to be greater or equal to that's greater or equal to that's 40. Thank you so much. That's 40. So this will be our first equation. So remember, we are just okay, we'll see how to shade about that. So for now, let's get our first equation. That's this one. All right, so I think we can just write them all, then we are going to get them, or let's just have the order so that you can follow. So remember, this inequality that I've written is just representing the first statement that Makwebo prepared at least 40 Hungarian sausages. Now that will be our first inequality. Okay, now we go to the second one. The second one, it says and at least 10 beef sausages, or at least 10 beef sausages. Now remember, we are told Y represents the number of beef sausages. So we have Y, right, greater or equal to how many? That's 10 Hungarian, that's beef sausages. So this will be our inequality number 2. Let's just get this one as well. Let me just get it from here. I just want to have these inequalities in one place so that when we start working on the x or y plane, it will be easy to see. Okay, so now let's get our third equation. Now our third equation, listen to the statement. It says she prepares not more than 160 sausages all together, right? So which means for x number of Hungarian sausages plus y number of beef sausages, this should not be greater than 160. Now what does it mean if something is not greater than 160 or not more than 160? Well, that means this should be less or equal to 160. So that's the inequality, which will be our third inequality. So we have 160. So let me just get this as well. So this will be our inequality number 3. Okay, let's just also arrange it nicely here. All right, now we need to get our inequality number 4, right? Okay, now that's number 4, inequality 4, number 4. Let's go back and see how we are going to come up with inequality number 4. So look at this again. We have the question continues. It reads, Now, the number of beef sausages prepared are not more than the number of Hungarian sausages. So, y is not more than beef sausages. Now, what does this mean? That is, y is not more than x. Now, what does that mean again? So that means y, since y is not more than, right? Okay, just here it says the number of beef sausages prepared are not more than, right? Are not more than, right? Are not more than the number of Hungarian sausages. So since they are not more than, then they have to be less than or equal to x, right? So the number of beef sausages made are not more than Hungarian sausages. So we are going to have this as our inequality number 4. So we have all the 4 inequalities we are taught to find. So we can proceed with answering other questions that follow. So these are the 4 inequalities we have identified, where x represents the number of Hungarian sausages made and y beef sausages. All right, thank you so much. Now let's just wait a moment for this to finish. Now let's proceed here. So I've drawn the x or y plane here, right? So all that is needed now is to use the scale. Now I don't have a scale, I'm not going to use it here, but make sure as you do it, you need to use a scale, right? You need to use a scale. So just find the rule, find the graph paper, and make sure you use your scale, right? So we're just going to assume that these blue points I'm putting represents 2 centimeters, right, on the graph paper, and every after 2 centimeters we have 20 Hungarian sausages, both in the x and in the y axis, right? So this is what it means. I know that you are going to do the right thing as long as you just get the concept, and everything else you are going to do it the right thing. Okay, so there we have it. We can just plot these inequalities and shade. Remember, we are shading the unwanted region. Let's just look again at the question. It says, using a scale of 2 centimeters to represent 20 sausages on both axes, draw the x and y axis for, we have the ranges there from 0 to 160 in the x-axis, and also in the y-axis from 0 to 160. Now we are told to shade the unwanted region. Okay, so shading the unwanted region will give us the specific region for which we need to find those inequalities, or to answer the questions that follows. So let us just solve now. Okay, let me just let's get a straight line. So we are going to use a straight line. Now we'll be using different colors just to show this. Okay, let's start by using just a red. Okay, let's use a green color. Okay, so we have the first equation. We have y, we have x greater or equal to 40. So that's x. Remember, the x line passes just straight right here. Okay, let me just again use a thick line. Okay, like this one. Good. So we can use this one. So this line is passing at x. Now we want x, the region representing x greater or equal to 40. So we know that in reality, what this equation means, what this inequality means, is that we need to shade the region where our numbers greater than 40 are, right? Which is starting from this line going this side, right? But that's not the case because we're shading the unwanted region. So since we are shading the unwanted region, we'll need to shade otherwise. So we'll need to shade this side here. Okay, starting from 40, since the line is a thick line that we have, so this is the region we need to shade. So starting from 40 and all the numbers less than 40, so going to the negative sides. So this is where we are shading, right? So this region is represented by this inequality. So I will just write this here so that you can see. So let's just, okay, so we'll just put this inequality here to represent this region. Okay, good. Now let's change the color and shade the other one. So why don't we use a blue one? Okay, so let's just use a blue one, or just this one, orange. Excuse me. So we can now get the line, right? So let us just now use a straight line. Now we have y greater or equal to 10. Now when we go to y greater or equal to 10, 10 is between 0 and 20, right? So 10 is between 0 and 20. So this is the line. Now which part are we shading? Is it upward or downward? So in reality, this inequality is showing that we need to shade upward as the wanted region. Now remember, we are shading the opposite because we want the unwanted region, which is the opposite of what this inequality is describing. So that means instead of shading on the region where we have numbers greater than 10 in the y-axis, we are going to shade the opposite, right? So we are shading the opposite, and that means we are shading downward here. Okay, so this is what it means, shading the unwanted region. I'm sure if you pause this video and watch the first and other videos that I've produced before this one, you are going to see exactly what's happening here, right? Okay, good. So we have this one here. So let me just again get this inequality and just write it here so that we can see. Okay, I'll just put it here, right? Just write it there to show that that's the region it is representing. Again, we can shade another one. We can use any color. Now let's just use a blue color. We can even use purple. So we have x plus y is less than or equal to 0. Okay, so to shade this one, to shade this inequality, let me just show you what we can do. Okay, I'll just need to draw this box here. I know you can just look at it and go ahead and solve it. Now what you can do, I'm just going to show you here. You remember what we are doing when plotting the inequality, right? You draw this box and then you have assumed values of x and y. So we have the x values there on the top row and the y values on the bottom. So we are going to assume in this inequality, if x is 0, what are we going to have as our y? So our y is going to remain 160, right? Good. And then you assume if your y is 0, what will be your x? So if y is 0, you put 0 there. Then you assume if y is 0, you substitute 0 here. What is going to be your x? You see that your x again is just going to be the same. It will also be 160, right? So the coordinates you have is this column where you have 0 in the x-axis and 160 in the y-axis, and then the other one you have 160 in the x-axis and 0 in the y-axis. So we are going to get these points and shade them. So point number 1 here, we have 0, 160. 160 is in the y-axis. So let's just go ahead and plot that. So 160 is in the x-axis, right? And then we have another 160 in the y-axis. So we're just going to have this straight line there representing this inequality, right? Now remember, we are shading the unwanted region. Now looking at the way the inequality is, it is telling us to say both number of Hungarian sausages and beef sausages, they should be less than or equal to 160. Now we know that in reality what this inequality means is that we need to shade the down part, right? But we are shading the unwanted region. So the wanted region is the down part. That's what is being described by the inequality that we have. So we are not going to shade this part because it's the wanted. We need to shade the unwanted region. So we are going to shade this region, okay, the alternative region, that is starting from this one going upward. Okay, so make sure you when you're using a graph paper, do it nicely. So let's hope you are getting the concept. If you have any question, make sure you leave a comment, your question in the comment below, right? Okay, good. So we have this one again. I'm just going to, let me just get this inequality as well and put it there to represent the region. All right, so this is the region. Now do we have another one, another inequality? Or let's check. We have one remaining where we have y is less or equal to x. Now we know that for every value of x we have, that value is what a value of y is going to be. So for this inequality here, if we try to draw a box, okay, to find the values, let's just do this. Okay, what color can I use? Okay, let me use a blue one now. Now if we, what I'm saying is, if we get this one, this inequality, and try to make a box, you are going to see that and the box is going to be, okay, let's try that. The box can be as long as possible. Okay, now we are going to have assumed values of x. We can have many values as possible again. Okay, and to infinity, right? The values can go on. So we can have x-axis and we can have y-axis. So we're going to see that we can start from 0. If x is 0, what is y going to be in this inequality? The last one, you see that y is also going to be 0, right? So for every value of x that we substitute, that itself will be the value of y. So if we say x to be 1, y will also be 1. If we say x to be 2, y is also going to be 2. X to be 3, y is also going to be 3. 4, and y is also going to be 4. So the numbers will just be going like this, okay, to infinity. Now what that means is that this line cuts the x or y plane at 0, 0. So both to the negative and positive sides. So let's do that. So it will just cut. Okay, let me just what's happening? Okay. Excuse me. So it's just going to cut here, okay, just straight. Okay, so this is what we are going to have. I think it should pass somewhere here, right? Okay, just make sure it's where wherever you have 20, and also this side will be 20. Okay, I think it will be somewhere here. Okay, all right, so here I'm just giving you the concept. If you are using the graph paper, you are going to do the right thing. Okay, you are going to see that you are going to get exactly the right things. Okay, So this is the now let us see where we're shading it. So we have to shade this. In reality, we need to shade this at the bottom part, this side, right? That's the wanted region, which is being described by the inequality itself, y less or equal to x. But we are not going to do that. Instead, we are going to shade the opposite region, which is the unwanted region that we have been asked to shade. Okay. All right, so this is what we are doing. Okay, excuse me. Let me again just get this inequality and put it there, so that you can follow through nicely. Okay, so okay, so this is the region, and okay, I'll just put it here. Then you can see which line is or region is being represented by that. So now we have shown this information on the x or y plane. Now remember, if you're using you are doing this one on a graph paper, you have to make sure you do accurate things. Okay, just get the concept here. Okay, so with the inequalities that we have managed to plot what we have here, right? Now let's look at the question that follows. So since we have shaded, now look at this. We are being told to say the profit on the sale of each Hungarian sausage is 3 kwacha, right? So if we sell X number of Hungarian sausages, we have 3 kwacha. So whatever number of Hungarian sausages we are going to sell, we are going to have a profit of 3 kwacha, right? Plus, look at this, we are calculating the profit, and on each beef sausage is 2 kwacha. So each beef sausage we sell, we are going to make a profit of 2 kwacha. So we have 2 multiplied by y there. So this is our profit equation. Okay, so this is okay, let me just plot this one nicely. Okay, so we have profit. Now let's just get this equation and put it where we will be calculating it, so that you can follow through, right? Okay, so where can we put this? The calculation can just be here, right? Okay, what if we just put it below here? Wow, this would be good. Okay, so let's just put it here. So this is the equation we have for the profit. Remember, let's just put it right there. I'll come back to it. Okay, don't forget. Now so we have this. Now look at let's finish the question. We didn't finish the question, reading the question. So the question is, so if that's the profit we are making on selling each Hungarian sausage 3 kwacha, and on selling each beef sausage is 2 kwacha, how many of each type of sausage are required to be prepared to make the maximum profit? Okay, the maximum profit. So what we are going to do, we'll need to get points, right? We are going to get points from here, right? And here, okay, and also there, and then we'll see the one which is going to give us the maximum profit. So let's take from this one here. Okay, if we get from here, this will be 145,10, right? So that will be 145,10. Now if we get this one, that is in the x-axis, or we can just assume this, is it 145? Remember, this is 2 centimeters representing 20 sausages, so that one can't be 145. So this will be 150,10, right? So this will be 150,10 right here. Okay, down here. So we have 150 right here. Okay, that's 150,10 in the x-axis, right? So we are going to try it here. And the same inequality here. So the first one, we are going to have 150 comma 10, right? So we have 150 comma 10. So this means that if we make 150 that's Hungarian sausages and 10 beef sausages, we can have the maximum profit. Now, is that true? So we will need to try this. So we have profit is equal to, so 3, we substitute the value of x, which is going to be 150, right? 150 plus, again we substitute y, which is 10. Now you see that when you do that, this will give you the maximum profit to be if you do that, this side you are going to get 450, right? 3 multiplied by 150, that's 450 plus 20, that will give you 470, right? 470 as the maximum profit. Okay, so we just want to compare all the points and see which one will give us the maximum profit. Okay, so we have this one. Now let's also do the same to the second one. Now the second one, we can pick on the points right here. Okay, now if we pick on the point here, we're going to see that this is going to be, now you can just estimate. Okay, if you are using the graph paper, I know you're going to do accurate things here. Okay, so this can be let's say this can be, instead of 90, is my line bent? All right, so this can be, let's say 82, right? We're just estimating, but I know if you're using the graph paper, you're going to do the correct things and accurate things. So we can say this is 82 comma, now we can see in the y-axis what we have. Okay, in the y-axis we are going to have 80, right? So 82 comma 80. So this is what we have. Let's see if it's going to give us the maximum profit. Again, we are going to substitute in the equation for profit. So we have 3. Now our x this time is 82, right? We have 82. Now close, plus we have 2, right? Multiply this by 80. So that's what we have. Now your profit again is going to be, now that means you need to multiply 82 multiplied by 3. We know that you are going to get that's 240, that's 246, right? 246. Now you are going to have plus, right? Now you are going to multiply again 80 multiplied by 2, that will give you 160, right? 160, that's what you are having, that's 160. Now if you add 160 plus that's 246, this will just give you a 406, right? So you're going to have your profit is equal to 406. Okay, so this is what you are getting upon picking that point. Now let's pick the third one. Okay, the third point we can pick on is this one right here. Okay, where we have 40 comma 40. Okay, right? So the third one is 40 comma 40. Now I hope you have seen how we have gotten this point here, 40 comma 40. When you drop down, you have 40 in the x-axis and 40 in the y-axis. That's in beef sausage. Now we need to substitute this again in the profit equation. Now if we do that, we're going to have 3. You multiply this by 40, right? Plus again you have 2 now multiplied by 40. So see what you are going to get. So this side we are going to get, we know that we are going to have 120, right? That's 120 this side plus 80, and this is going to give you just 200 as the maximum profit at this point. So we have kwacha, that's the amount of money. We have kwacha. Now we can also test the fourth one. Okay, now testing the fourth one, we can pick this point which is just 40, 10. Okay, so we have 40, right, 10. Okay, so 40, 10, what we are getting, again, we substitute in the profit equation. Now this means we have 3 multiplied by 40, right? 3 multiplied by 40, right? Now plus, okay, let me just push this a bit. Now plus 2 multiplied by 10. Okay, so we can see that this side we're going to get 120 plus 20. Now that is going to give us 140 kwacha. I'm sure you can you have already seen which point, which number of Hungarian sausages and beef sausage will give you the maximum profit, and we can see that it's only when we make 150 Hungarian sausages and 10 beef sausages that we are going to have the maximum profit. So that's let me just do that. So we need to make, if we need to make the maximum profit, we need to make that's 40, that's 150 Hungarian sausages, and that's 10 beef sausages, right? Okay, let me just type this. So if we're to make the maximum profit, we need to have 150, that's Hungarian sausages, right? And then we need to have 10 beef sausages. Now this is what will give us the maximum profit. Okay, so this is question. Let's just check what question is this that we are answering. Should be on top. Right, so it's just right here. So to have the maximum profit, all right, so to have the maximum profit, all right, so here is we have, so to have the maximum profit, we need to have how many types of Hungarian? We need to have 150 Hungarian sausages. That's what we have found out. And then we need to have just 10 beef sausages. Now that number of those products daily will give us the maximum profit. So this was question B, right? Is that B or C? That should be B. Let's hope you have seen the question and how it has been answered, right? Where is it? Okay, right here. So that was question C. Now calculate this maximum profit. Of course, we have calculated it already, and that profit is 4. So this is question supposed to be question C here. Okay, so we've been answering question C and D at the same time. Now question C, to be specific, we just need to say we need to have 150 number of Hungarian sausages and 10 beef sausages to have, and this will give us the maximum profit. And then D, where we need to calculate now this maximum profit, what it will be, you just need to get this same calculation we have here. right? And this will be your answer. This is what is supposed to be on D here. Okay, all right. So this is how a practical question, a question can be phrased on inequalities. If you have any question, remember, just post that question on the X or Y plane. I mean, post that question on, sorry for that, so post your question, leave your question in the comment, and I'll be able to attend to you. Okay, so thank you so much. Please don't forget to like my videos, share my videos, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos. Thank you.